Hey everyone, so a Michael Koenig just tweeted, my second attempt to get into Clojure backend development caused a major analysis paralysis. I seriously think about learning PHP and Laravel. Taking the pain up front worked well for me with Clojure script, but I don't think I can take it anymore. Duct and Pedestal look great, but are too hard to get into it. For a noob like me, Luminous is the best option in my humble opinion, but still a lot to unpack. Sometimes something easy and simple would be nice. So this absolutely breaks my heart. I saw someone recently tweet something similar about the Clojure CLI stuff, that things were so much simpler with Liningen, and that they just they're ready to throw in the towel. They just want to give up, and it breaks my heart because if you have a friend, like just someone showing you a couple things, giving you a couple pointers, just start with these things and don't worry too much about all the rest. It can really be so straightforward. I mean, that said, I absolutely empathize with this, with the analysis paralysis. Being an ecosystem where most people just kind of piece their own stack together means that there's a lot of upfront research and choices that need to be made, and sort of little pieces that you need to learn. But that's how it is, and I obviously like it that way. I think there are a lot of benefits there. And again, if you just have someone giving you a couple pointers, start with these tried and tested solutions, and then take it from there. You're good. So I thought, like let's give myself a little challenge. Let's see if I can, in a short amount of time, piece together a little app that basically has the stack that I would recommend to someone who's new to Clojure backend development, but which is honestly also still very much the stack that we use at Gaiwan with some small variations. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna make a my backend project, and just gonna make deps.eden file here. Also gonna git init this because my editor finds it easier to find the root of the project that way. And then let's make a source my backend directory, and let's take it from there. So basically what I would say, and what I also tweeted in one of the responses, is ring Jetty, the ring default middleware, rated or Compojure, and Hiccup, and if you need a DB, HoneySQL, and either SQLite or Postgres. So let's piece that together. So I'm just gonna do the done thing and just quickly Google these things. So we need the ring Jetty adapter. This will supply our web server itself. Stick to Jetty. I know HTTP-Kit is cool because it's written in Clojure. It is, trust me, nowhere nearly as solid as Jetty. Yeah, this takes me to ring. It's not what I want. Ring defaults, Clojures. You might actually, Eric Norman has a much more in-depth guide about web servers in Clojure, so I'm not going to go into more details. You can read that if you really want a more nuanced take, but really just, like 90% of our projects run Jetty. I've started with Jetty. I'm going to end with Jetty. It's like the Postgres of Java web servers. You just can't go wrong. This is just some default middleware, session support, cross-site request forgery protection, all this form parameter handling, all default stuff that you really just want to have in your web stack so you don't have to worry about it. And then as a routing library, I would these days probably go for rated, but I'm actually gonna, in this case, stick to Compojure, because I do think it has a slightly smoother on-ramp for people that are new. and then Hiccup, Clojure's Hiccup. This one is a little, yeah, so people might get scared off by this alpha. Honestly, it's been an alpha for 2.5 years. And I do recommend using this one instead of the 1.0 version, because the Hiccup 1 doesn't by default escape strings, and so yeah, that could lead to security issues. You need to be much more careful about, you know, sanitizing user input. And then this is on there by default, but I'll just put it to be explicit, and then we should be ready to start a REPL. Meanwhile, let's just say source my backend, and yeah, I mean core. It's debatable whether core is always the best name, but you know, if you need a default namespace name, why not just use core? And then we kind of need to do the same thing again. Again, I'm just gonna now like Google all the readmes. Readme, does it have ring jetty adapter? Okay, just need a quick example. Just gonna copy paste some code. That looks fine. So we want to ring adapter jetty namespace. Not going to use in this case. We do want to use run jetty. So I'm going to say require this thing as jetty. Boom, that's required. And then let's just say server. Let's just stick that in an atom. So like, not going to use integrant or anything like that here, just going to keep it super simple, and then we'll have like a start function, or let's even call it main, so we can immediately like have a main namespace to start in the end. And then we say swap server jetty start, right? No jetty, run jetty. There it is. Yeah, and then that's going to need a handler and some options. So let's run this, I don't know, mesh some keys together. There's our port. I like to do this, like have a unique port for each project, so I never confuse them, and they always, like, they never have to fight for a port. Actually, let's do this slightly different. Let's pass it the var, and it's easy to like redefine this handler function. In our REPL. Yeah, and there you go, main. Yeah, that's okay. That wasn't too smart. I mean, jetty started now. What did I say? 3428. 3428. So there's our 200 OK. But now I can't evaluate anything anymore because jetty is blocking. So I think we should be able to say here join question mark false. And now 200 OK, and if I redefine my handler 200 OK2, I get 200 OK2. There you go. We are doing web development. Now next up we need ring defaults. So like I said, this is just a bunch of default middleware for ring. And the way that this works, it's like it's a whole bunch of separate middlewares. Like if you go here, you'll see it has like all these different things, and you can, you know, require them and use them all separately. But then it offers this single function which you give a configuration, and it'll use that configuration to just set up all of them, and it offers two default configurations, site defaults, and secure API defaults, and also API defaults. So you have three options. And so in this case, I'm going to start with just showing like HTTP basically, or like HTML, something that you can open in the browser. So I'm going to say, actually I'm going to say ring defaults, wrap. I think it's just called wrap, right? Wrap defaults. So gonna wrap our handler, giving it the ring defaults, site defaults, and let's actually pull this apart. Let's say defen start jetty. Start jetty, and then stop jetty. Actually, let's put yeah, whatever. Don't want to overthink this, but so gonna call jetty stop. There's a, oh no, actually there's no stop in here, I think. But we can call dot stop on the server. So that's what we'll do. Dot stop server. And let's maybe reset this server to nil in this case. Let's maybe also do a reset server start jetty. Then we don't need this ugly stuff. Okay, so let's stop it again. Oh yeah, okay. Need to restart my REPL now. Should have used the def once here. That's my babashka REPL. That's also not what I want. Yeah, actually, and since we're doing the reset in the stop, we should probably also do the reset here. So then this is just start jetty. Sorry, this was a little bit of a roundabout way to get here, but okay, now we can say start jetty. Right, we're running. And also, if I say, let's print a request here, and then give this some data. So I guess this is like expose d hello world, something like that. Okay, invalid anti-forgery token. You already see that the default middleware is doing its work. That's fine. Can I pass data like this to a get? Yeah, so we got some params here. Okay, so then, like I said, let's go to Compojure. Here's Compojure. And gonna put that alphabetically first. These days I really avoid referred all in almost all cases. So, but I will give this something short because otherwise things are gonna get a little wordy. Okay, so that's that. So now here we can basically start saying stuff like, you know, get slash index, and then let's say get foo. You asked for foo. So and then here, let's put a stop.jetty start. Actually, no, I don't need to restart anything. Just need to evaluate this. Oh yeah, and I need to wrap this in routes. So that's kind of how Compojure works, right? No, not routes. C routes. C routes. Then why do I need Compojure route? Oh, because it has some helpers for creating ring responses, I guess. So okay, let's say if I go to the root, then I get an error because right, because routes returns the handler, which I then need to call. So and in this case, I'm like regenerating my routes on every request, which is fine for a development setting. That's actually largely what you want for a development setting. But then in production, you just make sure you do it once when you boot things up. So I'm going to say routes request. And yeah, here you could basically have something like if def handler routes, like that, you know, that would be enough if you have this kind of like notion of which environment, whether it's a def environment or not. Yeah, so that's index, and if we go to hello, you asked for hello. Yeah, and then I think the last piece that I would add is Hiccup. Hiccup2.core sh. And then, yeah, let's just say defn home view HTML body h1 welcome home. And then here we say headers, content type, text HTML, body, h, is it render? No, what is it? H, how do I do this? Oh, it's just H, right? No, HTML, home view, home view not yet defined. Oh, okay, and then so this is where the security aspect comes in. We need to do a little bit of an extra step. Yeah, and so I should be able to open that in a browser. Welcome home. And so, you know, you can get extra arguments here, like if you want to accept some query parameters, you can really, that's kind of the fun thing about Compojure. I don't know, if you have count, you know, and then we can pass it in here, count, yeah, I'm shadowing a function, but that's fine. For I range count, let's put that in role I. Maybe give that a default. So now I can do something like count equals 5. String count custom. Oh, okay. This needs to be cast to a string, of course. I think that should do the trick. There you go. So I hope that's helpful for someone. I'll share this as a gist. I mean, I know a lot of this stuff is a little low level. Ring does have helpers for creating these responses, and there are various other libraries to layer over this. The thing is, like, if you go for something like Luminous, it largely contains all the same pieces plus just more stuff. And so by starting this way, if you want to go to Luminous afterwards or something like that, it actually prepares you really well for that. And so I think this is really the Clojure way of like learning these pieces one by one. They all have a pretty small API. Once you kind of learn what the data in, data out is, they compose pretty seamlessly. And then you can still go to bigger templates that sort of handle a bit more of the real world boilerplate for real world scenarios. But then, you already know a lot of the stuff that goes in there. Maybe I should mention one more thing, because this is now assuming that you're generating your HTML on the backend, which I also am generally a fan of. But of course, a lot of people nowadays want to just implement APIs, which is of course valid. So in that case, you would here say API defaults, and you would want to combine this with one more piece, which is something that does content negotiation. And so nowadays we tend to use Muuntaja. I guess in Finnish you would roughly call that Muuntaja, something like that. So let's maybe quickly see if I can still, in a constrained amount of time, add that. I'm gonna have to quickly restart my REPL for this to pick up. And then quick start. Core. And then there's also Muuntaja middleware. That's actually the one I think we mainly want. Let's just call that MM. I think we don't actually need this. Does that work? Yeah, it did. And then we just need to add rep format to our middleware stack. Let's maybe introduce a bit of threading here. Not sure if it matters if this is before or after rep defaults. I'll just stick it here. Evaluate that. Let's be a little bit more reasonable. Call this Muuntaja, even though this is the Muuntaja middleware namespace, but that's the only one we need. Muuntaja, that works. Start Jetty. So now what happens, and what's sort of the best way for me to demonstrate this? So like say that I now do a, so this will or should do content negotiation both on the request and on the response. So let me actually just add a API endpoint here, and I'm gonna say sRequest to see how exactly this comes in now. Let's actually say Clojure print request, and then also here as a body, I'm just gonna stick some data here. Hello 123. Yeah, Jetty already started. No need to do that again. So now if I wait, wait, did we switch to? Yeah, we did switch to API defaults. I can, for instance, say, so say that I accept application JSON as a response, but the content type of what I'm sending the server is application Eden. I think what does it know about Eden? Well, let's see what happens, and we give it can I do that? If I want to pass a literal body slash F. Let's call emulate node. It's not what I need. Curl pass body. I know there's like HTTP and stuff, but oh, dash data, I guess is what I want. Data. Data raw. No, there's no data. Oh, this is just an alias for data. Okay, data ASCII. So, which is an alias for -d, so this was actually correct. So, my Eden, let's say. Null pointer exception as response map is nil. What's happening here? Okay, first did it. Did it not pick up my API handler? Oh, is it doing a post or something? Yeah, it's doing a post. I just wanted to do a, well, let's say post. Post. Okay, so we've gotten our data back as JSON, because that's what we asked for with the accept header. And the data that we've sent should have been parsed as Eden. What did I say here? My Eden, yeah. So those are in the body params. And I'm not sure if Compojure actually destructures those. But actually, I guess it should. Can I say? I think you can say keys body params. I think body params. Yeah. So I guess this is the part where Compojure is a little magical sometimes. Unexpected binding. It doesn't like that. Body params doesn't like that either. Okay. How about body params? Nil. Does it do? Just my also nil, yeah. So then I'm gonna, so this is where Muuntaja kind of uses slightly different conventions, I think, than what the older ring stuff is used to. So this body params is not the right map, and I think there's something you can configure in your wrap defaults or something. Look at the actual request. So like you can always get the full request in Compojure this way. And so we should be able to say body params request. Can also highly recommend Portal for stuff like that. In that case, you would start a Portal instance and it's just a type request and then look at what's in there. Always look at what the data you're actually getting. So there's our data. And so we have, yeah, a URL endpoint or an API endpoint. And I can also switch it around. I can say like I'm actually sending Eden, but I want JSON back. No, it's sending JSON, but I want Eden back. That's valid JSON, right? And there you go. So what we got before. So like, that's what, you know, Muuntaja kind of takes that whole, you know, encoding, decoding of the stuff out of your hands, and also just honors content negotiation. So whatever the client sends and accepts, if they properly set their headers, things should just work, which is really nice. They can also ask for transit, which is a bit faster than, for instance, using Eden. And that clocks us at exactly half an hour. And I think that's nice for showing like both, you know, how to basically do a little HTML backend and an API backend, at least to make components. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that was useful to someone, if not to Michael Koenig or Michael Koenig. So thanks a lot for watching.